important. So with no further ado, I'm going to turn it over to KB. Love. Right.
Yo, what's good, everybody? So good to see y'all's faces, especially in 3D. I've had looks like some Zoom meetings with a number of y'all, and it's cool to see that, yeah, you have a torso and legs and a smiling face, and you're not looking over at your other computer screen while you're also trying to look at me, even though I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm KB. I'll read y'all a couple poems and talk a bit about my process of putting together my zine. Nothing was the cause of their deaths. I made it because, I had the support from CRC. So this is just me expressing my gratitude and also sharing a bit about my story and the story of my community. This poem is called Other Ways to Say I Served My Time. I had a number. I had a dream. It played in rotation despite my wishes it didn't. I served a reform, penitence, something once claimed to be better than torture. I served my country's corporate system against any will not of the state. I served a reform that's proven itself a failure, force-fed myself slop. I was an example of breathing fallacy. A common cause of modern day slavery. I served a purpose. It wasn't my purpose. They burned a piece of my life like white folk arsoning jerseys at football games they're free enough to attend. I got service, the same old nightmare. I got punishment, and my family still getting flash floods, warrants out for my unlawful arrest for the same old so-called mistake. Yes, I made mistakes. One of them, wrong place, wrong time, a crime tall as the length of history. I made wrist slapping, life ending mistakes. They claim I did something heinous, worth 40 days and 40 nights of kicks and bleeding to the skull of a flicking pen. Writing legislation for the cage I'm in that makes rusting metal thicker to the touch, like the thickets I miss while my head rattles in place. Will I ever have a place? Will I ever not possess a face they deem unsafe? Who cares? I had a number. I have an idea of what it's like to be burned alive. I wonder if penitence, meaning life before prisons and lynchings, the torture, they say, was worse than this. I died still getting my punishment. Family and friends died too. A death not likely to be metaphor, cold killings with shillings left behind by U.S. weapons, my enemy, which decidedly is my country, can say their pockets are alive because of me, despite me. They never knew what to do with me. A judge, a guard, a prism, a thing bound on all sides by bloody hands told me I was serving my time. Peers who thought they were my enemies died in metal devils that kill just like mine, alongside something that would never come alive, potential, a number that turns into a destiny. Babies, meaning the kid I was never allowed to be, screaming inside and outside of time. I learned orange is not my color. I had a dream that dreamed of elsewhere. Even if I come out alive this time, my mind will always remember inside. I have a number. I have a dream. It's dangling in front of me. Where are you? Thank you. Um, cool. So that poem in particular is a poem I wrote after talking to one of my uncles. I have two uncles that have kind of been in and out of the carceral system in Fort Worth, Texas, um, since I was probably 8 years old. I'm 28 now. And I talked to one of my uncles who's like had some kind of like prolonged issues with substance abuse about just like what his time in prisons were like, what his time in like jails were like, and what he felt like were motivations behind him not getting help and instead getting a cell. And I really think this poem is just indicative of this whole project that has come to be my zine, in the sense that I care a lot about bringing voices to situations so they don't just like become statistics. Like when we see like 3D people, I think things become a bit realer for people. Also, I know that art has been the reason why I've like learned so much about different social issues. If I'm looking down, I'm just like looking at my little notes. I like found out maybe like 20 minutes ago that I wasn't gonna have a PowerPoint. So just bear with me. Um, but yeah, I think that art especially has like helped me learn about different social issues because it literally just brings like a voice, brings me in. And that's really what I aim to do with others. So again, I'm KB. I write poetry. I also write a bit of nonfiction. And the synopsis of this zine, I wrote it and it's good, so I'm gonna read it. All across the United States, mass incarceration is taking the lives and livelihood of individuals and families. Legally innocent people are dying in government custody at an alarming rate. In 2022 in particular, 27 people died in Harris County jails. Inspired by a year-long residency with CRC, this zine examines the jail system for what it is and brings special attention to the atrocities that have been normalized in Harris County using research and the craft of poetry. So when I say that I use research and the craft of poetry, I mean I talk to some of the people in the audience. Special shout out to Elizabeth, who I talked to. I'm trying to pinpoint the other people that I talked to, but like 4 different people, I swear. Um, Kaya, wherever you are. I don't know where you are currently. And yeah, I just had conversations with them about like, what is your everyday life at CRC? What are the things that you see in particular in Harris County? And talking about just like really just the crisis mode of like some people are in jail simply because they're poor, right? Like they can't afford bail. Some people are in jails because before they even open their mouths, similar to what my uncle told me, it's like you're guilty, right? And I think that in the process of trying to bring those things to life, I really wanted to, when I applied to CRC, like wanted to do just like a truly personal experience and research driven project that is in poetry. I think like a number of people think of poetry and they think of like Shakespeare, right? Like I'm talking about flowers and birds, and like it has no tangible attachment to like everyday life. But like the goal of an artist is to talk about the times, right? And the times can include pleasure, can include like witnessing nature, can also include like politics, right? And I think it's really important, at least to me as an artist, to like not be opening my mouth when I like don't know what I'm talking about. So like I really wanted to do research, and the things that I found were super compelling. Like I went to a CRC event actually last November called "What's Going On in U.S. Jails." It was with the Abolitionist Law Center, Life After Release, the Texas Jail Project, and it was just like this really amazing call. And I love that it was art alongside people doing litigation work, alongside people doing like organizing work, all coming together and being like, this is a nationwide issue of like, we're putting jails where mental health, institutions should be. We're putting jails where social services in general should be, right? Um, and hearing that call and also reading a couple of different books, some that I want to shout out. A Felon by Reginald Dwayne Betts, who also, like some of y'all know, shout out to him. I read Asada, an autobiography. I read Disability Incarcerated, Captive Genders, Trans Embodiment in the Prison Industrial Complex, just to hear from different voices, like what has been the experience over time and what do you feel like exacerbates that experience, like things like disability, things like race, things like gender and sexuality, and how those things put you, because you are different to some degree, like in these kind of circumstances that sometimes you never get over. Like I know that there's a rift or a hole in my family where like, you know, a person should be. You know what I mean? And like it's important to me to talk about those things, to talk about people not as just like, okay, you know, casualty number one. It's like, no, this person had a family. This person had a life that they should have been able to figure out, even if they make detours along the way without someone telling them, oh, you need to be like separated from the rest of society, right? Um, and you don't get to have a second chance. Um, you don't even get to have a first chance for a lot of people, right? I'm gonna read a couple of more poems and then maybe see if y'all might have questions. So be thinking about questions while I'm doing that. That's your assignment, audience. I'm getting in my teacher mode, where like I'm in front of undergrads every week, and they just look at me, just stare. It's like, oh, what do you think about that? They're like, we have no thoughts. So just know I can deal with silence, y'all. This headline, I want to read this one because it's based on something that somebody in this room wrote, right? A headline reads, pregnant people are shackled and abused in Harris County Jail. A headline reads, pregnant people are shackled and abused in Harris County Jail, and my heart stops pumping with mercy. Holding on to something, I skip my eyes down news, my daily dose of proof that guilt is a nothing emotion when you will be victimized eventually. Again, I say that I'm holding on to something that should have been auctioned off when my people were auctioned off to lands that would never be ours, but still, the Black American experience is one beginning and insisting on magic. My womb starts missing things it never held, a tombstone. New generations of babies' flesh. Are they doing this to eradicate us? Politically manufactured crisis turns to politically fractured limbs, making it innocently out my womb since my flesh predeems me guilty. I wonder if this poem is enough. I wonder if the instant my genes dance themselves into a belly, an eyeball, a creature manifesting itself to life, is the instant my nation starts hunting for new flesh, the nation's scent stronger than any hound they mistake me for. Each year, 55,000 pregnant people get jailed. And I wonder if making Black children is holding on to too much hope, subjecting our ancestral magic wounds to the violence that calls itself penitence. Am I jail bound, or is a person howling at the injustice infested winds while bloody and birthing a circumstance we want to normalize? Anyway, here's a lighter and gas. I turn the building into shards of glass because I love you. Thank you. Cool. All right, I'll do one more poem and then I'll see if y'all have any questions. A couple other things about this project. I also read Our Prison's Obsolete by Angela Davis, which I think is like very important reading. I also spoke with some different organizations. Shout out to Pure Justice, Texas Jail Project. Also, I'll have you know the zine is now available in 10 locations across Harris County. Harris County Public Library, Houston Public Library, and a number of bookstores out there. Yeah, so we're trying to make moves. I've also talked to some people and they've told me, those people for whom I gave zines, like, okay, now we're going to use this for our book club so we can like talk to people about what's happening, or now we're going to use this, when we're tabling in like community spaces and talking about these issues. So, you know, if the poems help people understand my people, understand your people better, then I think they're doing their job. And I think the best art is art that raises awareness, builds community, expands access. Everybody can't write, law. I mean, a lot of y'all got through law school. That's amazing. I could never do that, but I can write a poem. And there are so many really amazing artists that can make their voices heard in these ways, right? Yeah, I'm gonna stop talking. All right. Mm, going back and forth. So I'm like, this is sad. Okay. Intro. No, I don't want to do that one. JK. Okay. Dreams. In jail, you will have mundane worries. Like, who will take care of the dog while I'm gone? Where did I leave my cheetah print slippers the night that led to a life where I have to stretch my mind wide enough to see something worth thinking about? In jail, you're on wasted dimes. Time spent that could be better used somewhere that doesn't just recognize white men's rights. I mean, the Constitution for what it's claimed to be worth. You left a pot of greens on the stove. I wonder if my old man knows he won't be driving me home. You haven't found anyone in your cell or on the shit covered floor who's given up on life, not during what is a temporary stay forced by the state, who will kill you and claim there's no other way. Your eyelids lead you elsewhere, to a kitchen where grapes and hot water mean something else. Back to your life uninterrupted by the place where the country manufactures obscurity. Cool. Thank you. Um, cool. I wrote that poem because I like saw in my research like someone prompting these people in the jails like questions of like, so what is a question that you have? And one person was like, man, I really wonder if those greens that I left on the stove were tended to. Like you have those mundane worries because you're like, surely I'm getting out of here in a day, and sometimes that doesn't happen, right? That really struck me.